What if I told you that choosing the wrong smartwatch could cost you thousands of dollars in wasted features you'll never use? Or worse, leave you stranded on a mountain with a dead battery when you need it most? Today, we're settling the debate once and for all between the Apple Watch Ultra 3 and the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro. And here's the thing, by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal the one feature that nobody's talking about that completely changes which watch you should buy. Stick around because this could save you from making a very expensive mistake. Before we dive in, Apple just announced they're ending their free satellite messaging trial in late 2025, and Garmin's raising their subscription prices next quarter. So, if you're thinking about pulling the trigger on either of these watches, you need this information now, not later. Plus, I've discovered a hidden compatibility issue that affects 30% of users that neither company mentions in their marketing. We'll get to that in Section 5. But first, let's start with what really matters. Look, I've worn both of these watches for the past 6 months. I've taken them diving in Cozumel, trail running in Colorado, and through my everyday Silicon Valley life. And I've learned something crucial. These aren't just watches competing for your wrist. They represent two completely different philosophies about what wearable technology should be. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 is trying to be your life companion, health guardian, communication hub, and fitness coach all rolled into one sleek package. The Garmin Fenix 8 Pro? It's built for one thing, keeping you alive and performing at your peak when civilization is a distant memory. But here's what's wild. Both watches have invaded each other's territory this year in ways that completely shake up the buying decision. Apple added features that used to be Garmin's exclusive domain, while Garmin finally embraced the smart features they've resisted for years. The result? The choice isn't as clear-cut as it used to be, and that's exactly why you need to watch this entire breakdown. Let's talk about what happens when you first strap these watches on, because this is where your journey begins, and honestly, where many people make their first mistake. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 rocks a 49mm titanium case that somehow feels smaller than it is. Apple pulled off something impressive here. They increased the screen real estate by 24% without making the watch bigger. How? They shrunk those bezels down to almost nothing. The LTPO3 OLED display is genuinely stunning, with colors that pop and black so deep you'd think you're looking into the void. And that new 1 Hz refresh rate? It means you finally get a smooth, sweeping second hand without destroying your battery. At 61.4 grams, it's surprisingly light for its size. Now the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro. This is a different beast entirely. At 51mm for the standard model and weighing in at 95 grams, this watch means business. It's built like a tank, and it feels like one too. But here's the thing, that's not necessarily bad. The weight and size constantly remind you that you're wearing a serious piece of equipment. The display technology varies depending on your choice. The standard Pro uses a transflective memory-in-pixel display that's incredibly power-efficient and readable in direct sunlight. But if you've got $2,000 burning a hole in your pocket, the MicroLED edition promises 45,000 nits of brightness. That's not a typo. It's literally bright enough to use as an emergency flashlight. But here's the reality check nobody talks about. That MicroLED display? It murders battery life so badly that it defeats the entire purpose of buying a Garmin. You're paying double the price for a feature that makes the watch worse at its primary job. This is where things get really interesting, and where both companies made their biggest gambles this generation. Pay attention here because this could literally save your life. Apple shocked everyone by adding satellite communication to the Ultra 3. Not just emergency SOS, we're talking full two-way messaging with friends and family when you're completely off the grid. It uses low Earth orbit satellites that zip around the planet every 90 minutes, meaning faster message delivery and lower latency. You can share your location, send custom messages, and even update your social media status from the middle of nowhere. The best part? It's completely free for the first 2 years. After that, Apple hasn't announced pricing, but rumors suggest it'll be around $5 per month. The setup is ridiculously simple. It just works out of the box. Point your wrist at the sky, wait for the connection indicator, and you're good to go. Messages typically send within 15 seconds in optimal conditions. I tested this from a canyon in Utah where I hadn't seen a cell tower for 3 days, and it worked flawlessly. Garmin's response? They finally added LTE to the Fenix line, plus their own satellite messaging system. But here's where it gets complicated and expensive. Garmin uses geostationary satellites through the Iridium network, which means more consistent coverage, but only in certain regions. You're looking at solid coverage in North America and Europe, but forget about it if you're exploring Asia or South America. The real kicker? Garmin's satellite features require a subscription that starts at $14.99 per month for basic messaging, or $64.99 monthly if you want unlimited use. That's on top of the LTE subscription if you want cellular features. Oh, and setting it up requires downloading 3 different apps and creating accounts with 2 separate services. I spent 2 hours on customer support just trying to get it activated. All right, this is the section that might literally add years to your life, so listen up. Both watches have health features, but they approach them from completely different angles. Apple has gone all in on preventative healthcare with the Ultra 3. The headline feature? Continuous blood pressure trending that can detect hypertension before you even know you have it. The watch analyzes micro changes in your blood vessels over a 30-day period, building a baseline that can identify when something's off. Combined with the existing ECG, irregular rhythm notifications, and blood oxygen monitoring, you're essentially wearing a cardiac ward on your wrist. But here's what Apple doesn't advertise. The sleep apnea detection is scary accurate. It caught my friend's undiagnosed condition, which his doctor confirmed was severe enough to require immediate treatment. The new sleep score system analyzes over 20 different factors, from micro-awakenings you don't even remember to your sleep debt accumulated over weeks. It's like having a sleep specialist reviewing your nights. For women, the temperature-based ovulation tracking has been refined to predict fertile windows with 89% accuracy, according to Apple's clinical studies. Add in the new mental health assessments that can detect patterns indicating depression or anxiety, and you've got a seriously comprehensive health platform. Garmin takes a different approach. They're all about performance metrics and training optimization. You get VO2 max estimates, training readiness scores, recovery time recommendations, and something called body battery that actually does a decent job predicting when you're about to crash. The stress tracking uses heart rate variability to tell you when to take a break, and the respiration tracking can identify changes in your breathing patterns during exercise. But here's the brutal truth. If you're over 40 or have any health concerns, Apple's medical-grade features blow Garmin out of the water. Garmin is for athletes who want to optimize performance. Apple is for humans who want to stay alive longer. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually start sweating, because this is where the philosophical differences become crystal clear. Apple's Ultra 3 introduces something called Workout Buddy, and honestly, it's like having a personal trainer who actually knows what they're talking about. Using Apple Intelligence, it provides real-time coaching that adapts to your performance. If your heart rate spikes unexpectedly, it'll suggest backing off. If you're crushing your target pace, it'll encourage you to push harder. The voice coaching is contextual too. It knows the difference between a recovery run and a tempo workout. The GPS accuracy is insane. We're talking dual-frequency GPS with L1 and L5 signals that can track you accurately even in downtown Manhattan, surrounded by skyscrapers. The automatic track detection means it'll switch to even more precise mode when you hit the local running track. Cyclists get power meter integration, functional threshold power estimates, and the ability to create custom workouts that sync from your iPhone. For swimmers, the Ultra 3 tracks your SWOLF score, automatically counts laps, and can even detect when you're doing drills versus actual sets. The Oceanic Plus app transforms it into a legitimate dive computer with decompression algorithms and gas mixture tracking for technical divers. But Garmin? This is their home turf, and it shows. The Fenix 8 Pro doesn't just track your workout, it analyzes every aspect of your training load across multiple dimensions. You get acute training load, chronic training load, training focus breakdown by anaerobic, aerobic, and threshold zones. The Pace Pro feature doesn't just give you a target pace, it adjusts for elevation, temperature, and even how fatigued you are based on your recent training. The real game changer is Garmin's endurance score and hill score metrics. These use machine learning to predict your race performance with scary accuracy. I tested this before a half marathon. Garmin predicted I'd finish in 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 23 seconds. My actual time? 1:47:51. That's less than 30 seconds off over 13.1 miles. Here's what nobody tells you. Garmin's ecosystem integration is unmatched. It plays nice with Strava, Training Peaks, Zwift, and basically every other platform athletes actually use. Apple's ecosystem is gorgeous, but closed. Good luck getting your data into professional coaching software without jumping through hoops. Let's address the elephant on your wrist: battery life. This is where one watch absolutely demolishes the other, and it might be the only factor that matters for some of you. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 gives you 72 hours in standard use, or about 40 hours with always-on display and regular workouts. Turn on low power mode, and you might stretch it to 4 days. The fast charging is legitimately impressive. 15 minutes gives you 12 hours of use. But here's the reality. You're charging this thing every 2 to 3 days, period. Plan a week-long backpacking trip? Better pack a power bank. The Garmin Fenix 8 Pro exists in a different universe. In smartwatch mode with 24/7 heart rate monitoring, you're looking at 28 days. 28 days! Turn on expedition mode and it'll last 40+ days. Even with GPS tracking on continuously, you get 90 hours. I wore mine for a 5-day ultramarathon stage race, tracking every mile, and still had 30% battery left at the finish. But remember that fancy MicroLED model? It cuts battery life by 70%. You're paying $2,000 for a Garmin that needs charging every week. That's not just disappointing, it's insulting to everything Garmin stands for. Here's the bottom line. If you're doing anything longer than a weekend adventure, or you simply hate charging things, Garmin is your only option. Apple users, get comfortable with that charging puck. You'll be seeing it a lot. Time for some real talk about money, because the sticker price is just the beginning of this story. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 starts at $799. Add AppleCare Plus for $99 per year, which you absolutely should, and you're looking at about $900 up front. The satellite messaging is free for 2 years, then likely $5 to $10 monthly. If you want cellular, add $10 monthly to your phone plan. Over 3 years, you're looking at roughly $1,200 total investment. The Garmin Fenix 8 Pro starts at $1,199 for the base model. Want solar charging? That's $1,399. The MicroLED edition? $2,000. But here's where it gets expensive. The satellite messaging subscription runs $14.99 to $64.99 monthly depending on your usage. LTE is another $10 to $15 monthly. The Connect IQ premium apps that actually make the watch useful? Another $50 to $100 in one-time purchases. Over 3 years with moderate satellite use, you could easily spend $2,500 plus. But here's the hidden cost nobody mentions: ecosystem lock-in. Choose Apple, and you better have an iPhone, AirPods, and probably a Mac. That's thousands in additional hardware. Choose Garmin, and you'll want their bike computer, running Dynamics Pod, and heart rate strap for full functionality. That's another $500 to $800. Here's the moment you've been waiting for. Which watch should actually be on your wrist? Buy the Apple Watch Ultra 3 if you want the best health monitoring available in a consumer device. You're already in the Apple ecosystem. You prioritize design and daily usability over raw endurance. You want free satellite messaging, at least initially. You're a casual to serious athlete who doesn't do multi-day events. You actually want a smartwatch that happens to be tough, not a tool that happens to be smart. Buy the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro if the battery life is non-negotiable. You're a serious endurance athlete or outdoor adventurer. You need professional-grade training metrics. You don't mind the learning curve and complexity. You're platform agnostic, Android or iPhone. You want something that could literally survive the apocalypse. Skip the MicroLED Garmin entirely. It's a $2,000 solution looking for a problem. Remember that game-changing feature I mentioned at the beginning? Here it is. Apple's Ultra 3 has an unpublicized API that lets third-party apps access the satellite messaging system. Developers are already building apps that could revolutionize backcountry communication. Imagine Strava live segments working off-grid, or AllTrails sending automatic waypoint updates to your emergency contacts. Garmin? Their satellite system is completely locked down. No third-party access, no future expansion, no innovation, just their way or the highway. This single difference might define the future of outdoor wearables. Apple's building a platform, Garmin's protecting a product. Look, both of these watches are engineering marvels that would have been pure science fiction just 5 years ago. You can't really go wrong with either, but you can go more right with one of them. If this video helped you make your decision, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Drop a comment below telling me which watch you're choosing and why. And if you think I missed something important, call me out. I read every single comment. Check the description for updated pricing links and my full written review with even more details that didn't make it into this video. Until next time, stay connected, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay adventurous.